Welcome back to Space Ghost on Cyba-3, the Sorceress. We're on chapter 7 now, where things are happening. We've met the Sorceress. She's evil. She likes fire, and she likes destroying things as if she were looking at a pretty flower, which is disturbing. And I went too long on that last time. But the twins are captured in this chapter. So here they all are. They're using their invisibility cloak, and they're climbing the mountain with all the scary creatures that are in the mountain. And they're gonna get their cloak of personal invisibility. Oh, that's fine. So this is a stronghold, very Castle Grayskull like. Look at that. It's a skull. You get it? So this here, original Castle Grayskull, right there. So this is something that the Utopia on Cyba-3 forgot about. They just kind of left out there. And this was the stronghold. And something. So the rocks are coming. It must be a counter frequency. They can spot our invisibility, right? So they lunge and look. You got these little arms coming out to get them as Jan and Jace dive for the cover. And Space Ghost. That's what they. And Space Ghost's like, oh no, where'd they go? We got a small tunnel right here. They went to. I'm gonna go check it out. Let's all go check it out together. And there we go. So she's got him, the Sorceress. Jan's coming back. Jan's got her gloves on this time. She's ready to go. Men like Space Ghost, hundreds of them like gnomes. Her voice. I don't know what the context of that is. Oh, that's Jan's voice. It's not like evil thing. Here we go. Oh, men space ghosts, hundreds of them, like gnomes. Not men like space ghosts, could also be gnomes. I'm not reading this closely, obviously, because I got like 5 things I'm doing. I'm checking out the photo, I'm doing the video, and all this stuff. So, all right, so Jan is captured. Space Ghost is talking to somebody on his. He's listening in. And then this should be the part where the sorceress is like, now I've got you, and all this stuff. And here we go to the question I was just asking in the last video, right? What do you gain here? What is the point of all of this destruction? Are you just a psychopath? Sociopath, psychopath. But there's something wrong here. I think the Sorceress of Cyba-3 needs a good psychologist is kind of the conclusion I'm coming to. But I have something circled here. What did I do here? None of you will ever understand that mine is an ancient heritage that places its highest value on all the clever wickedness that your warped moralists deplore. What? So now we're building an entire culture around immorality. An awkward pause just needs to take place here, because I'm like, what is going on here? That can't be. I don't know. In the end of the day, it's just a kid's book, but I'm like, this opens up a can of worms that, I guess it touches on maybe some assumptions that each of us have about what evil may be if such a thing exists. But I can't help just viewing it nowadays through you can't have an entire, well, maybe you can. You can have an entire psychotic culture here, but you wouldn't have any culture because everyone this goes beyond the scope of just a stupid walkthrough of a Space Ghost book written in 1968. But this, much like the last chapter, makes me stop and think, what this, you were not really reflecting and thinking hard enough on what kind of lesson is this teaching kids, if this is teaching them anything at all, if something is embedded into this adventure story that we have cartoon villains doing, and the sorcerers are looking like Snow White here or something, and then this it just makes me pause, and I know I'm overthinking it, but that's just where my headspace is. You can't have this. highest value um, on wickedness. You don't have a functioning society, which is why you don't have anybody but the sorceress and her minions, just all alone. So maybe the larger question, this comes out of the movements of 1968, and we saw the backlash of those in the 70s and especially the 80s, and then you had more of a libertarianism and individualist ethos that came out of the 1980s that still very much resonates with us today. And I suppose maybe this is just a warning about that, because if it's just about competition and winning, you don't have a functioning society, much like Margaret Thatcher told us all that we didn't have one of those things. And I don't know if that's gotten us in any productive space. But I'll probably just cut all this anyway. So, I mean, there we go. So anyway, back at it. 3, 2, 1. So here we go. The Space Ghost, his thoughts are racing. He's in the tunnel. He's trying to get through. Now I didn't know he could teleport himself. So he's going to teleport himself. So here we go. And then there he just ends up behind some boxes or stones or I don't know. He's in a storeroom. Who knew the cave had a storeroom? How very practical for an evil cave. We always want to make sure we have a storeroom available. So, here we go. So he's sneaking up, and there's the Spidrex machine, or the Spidrex, which I think is how you should really pronounce it, because what else should it be? So there's Ayn Rand and her Spidrex. Let's just look at it like that. And we've got the now there's something about they're crushing chain. I do remember this from the first read here. Anytime they move, they would get crushed, because remember, the princess loves doing evil things. It makes her happy on the inside. I mean, it's just pure joy comes in the suffering of others with this character. That's just where we're at. Space Ghost is like, how do I get these folks out of here? Now, this particular form of death has been invented on the planet Isnor in the 4th galaxy. So it's like suddenly we're taking we know that this comes from the 4th galaxy. What do we know about the 4th? So I don't know why we need the history of the Spidrex, but here we go. So there she is with glee. I mean, even the smile is just disturbing now. It's like she's looking at 2 little puppies, but it's like, you're about to die. I love it. That's just such an embrace of a sociopathic personality that, I mean, this could do some damage to some kids. I mean, this is I don't know. This is tough. So here she is in her Spidrex, ready to, I guess, just to step on the little people. Which the more and more I start reading of this, there are plenty of folks around today that just get off on stepping on little people for power. And oftentimes the power ends up destroying everything. And you tend to wonder, why did this person want power in the first place? Is it just ego-driven? Is it just this being a sociopath and just killing people? Maybe that's a lesson we're learning from here. So there's a giant spider doing its thing. There's no motivation for there's nothing here. That's why two-dimensional cartoon characters don't work anymore. But anyway, you can see the direction I'm going with this. I don't mean to. I go where the whims take me, and the more we're getting into this, I can't help but just look for motivation. And I'm like, this is this raises far more concerns than anything out of reading it. But we'll get back to whatever the Spider Machine's doing on the next chapter. Chapter 8, the Spider Machine. So we're gonna do that soon.